They say that the best doers aren't always the best teachers. And to be quite honest, with a lot of the ideas and topics that I discuss on this channel, uh, well, not just a lot of them, but all of them, I am siphoning those from this infinite quote unquote experience that, I've just always had throughout my life. It's kind of just been there, and I say experience in quotes because um, there's also things in there that aren't really experiences, like non-experiences or uh, other values and statuses of experience besides either experience or non-experience or things like that. So all sorts of wacky stuff. And really, this is just something that's been there. It's more of a condition than a skill. You know, um, Quite a few of you have come to me asking for advice or practices like what's the best way to meditate or what's the best way to become more attentive or more focused as you're going about work or sports or some other type of practice in general. What's the best way to think clearly? Things like that. And, I've tried to give as much advice as I can when I've been posed with these questions. But as those of you who have asked for that type of advice are aware, I always talk about dialing in, right? So I'm experiencing this anythingness. And so in anythingness, there's anything and everything. So it's like, well, what's the best meditative practice for you? It could be anything. I have to dial in to really give a valuable answer that's specific enough to actually be useful to you because I really don't know what the best meditative practices are. I really don't know what the best methods are to increase your attentiveness or your ability to focus. I really just don't know those things because if you're experiencing anything and everything, then anything and everything can be anything and everything, right? It's very zen, it's very paradoxical, and it kind of leads to this state of not knowing. So what are the best strategies? What are the best practices? I don't know. And so I try to do my best. I try to say, all right, try trance meditation or something like that. Maybe that'll help. But these are really just guesstimations. These are educated guesses on my part through some dialing in, right? I should say some incomplete dialing in. Obviously, if I was fully dialed in and fully had expertise on these things, I would be able to give much more useful and accurate responses with a lot more detail. But I am not dialed in on these things, so I am not an expert in these areas. So as much as I try to give helpful advice, it's just honestly, it's not going to be as top quality as a lot of other pieces of advice that you could find out there on the same sorts of subjects. And people will also, in this same sort of vein, ask me, okay, how do I come as close to having this crazy experience of anythingness as I can? And honestly, again, I don't know. It's really not even like something that I can market as a mystical skill. It's not like a meditative state. It's not a mindfulness state. It's literally just a condition that's just inherently been there for me. So, like with things like attentiveness or focus or meditation, okay, these are practices, these are skills that you can develop. But how do you teach somebody how to learn to have Down syndrome? Like, Down syndrome is not really a skill, it's a condition. How do you learn to have a condition? I mean, a person with Down syndrome doesn't, know how to give other people Down syndrome, right? I mean, how would you even do that? And of course, most of them don't even know how they got it, right? Unless you're a person who has Down syndrome and you're educated in medicine, right? Like a bunch of different medical topics, and what Down syndrome is and how you got it. you're not even going to know how you yourself have it, right? It's just kind of there, um, independently of knowing, independently of the mind, even independently of effort or experience. So again, it kind of gets into this not knowing territory. You don't really know how it's there. It's just there. It's just a condition. So, you could say I'm sort of a doer, right? Or doer might not even necessarily be the correct term if it's a condition, right? I mean, I guess you could say that somebody with a condition is kind of a doer, right? So like if you're looking at the doer versus teacher analogy, all right, yeah, I mean, there's some, for example, athletes who have like a natural talent in their sport. Okay, yeah, you could say that's like a condition that offers them certain skills. But then again, right, the best doers aren't always the best teachers. They may not be able to teach other people how to do what they do because it's not really something they learned, right? They don't have expertise in the education aspect of their condition. They just have the condition. So whereas in the past I've tried to squeeze myself down into this box of trying to teach people certain things or teach people certain skills, after really trying to squeeze myself down into that role, I realized that it's just not going to work. It's not going to fit in there. It's not authentic to me because I am not a teacher. I just have a condition. I am just a doer. So I honestly, sit here with as much humility as I can or as I have and tell you that I don't have practical self-help advice. I don't have practical advice on attentiveness or focus or meditative practices or other mindfulness practices or spiritual practices or anything like that. That's just not me. I don't have it. There are tons of people out there who have much more expertise in those areas than me. And you can gain much more valuable advice by asking them. There's a lot of them out there. There's definitely no shortage of people offering self-help advice or mindfulness advice. So really, why get it from me, right? There's much more of them. They're much higher quality in that area. I just don't have that same expertise, right? So I can't market myself as a teacher. I can't offer top quality advice. I can't create courses on how to better your life or better your mindfulness or other things like that. It's just, I have nothing highly valuable to offer there. But there's tons of people who do have very valuable things to offer in those areas, and I'd refer you to them. So rather than me trying to inauthentically squeeze myself down into these roles where I just don't fit, it's better for me to just humble myself, sit here and honestly say I'm never going to be valuable within those roles. Because what I have is just a condition. It is not something that I worked for. It's not something that I strived for. It's just something I have. It's a privilege. I'm privileged. I'm gifted. I'm blessed. That's it. I haven't attained it. I've just had it bestowed upon me, if you want to put it in unmodest language, I guess. But yeah, so where do I fit then, right? Like if I don't have anything to teach, what do I do? What's my role? I can't market anything. I don't have a product to sell. Like I said, I don't have courses. I don't have top quality advice. I have nothing to market. I have nothing to sell. So what do I have to give? Well, this condition of mine is a very abnormal one. And so while there's no evidence that the ideas I speak of, the things that I siphon from the experience, while there's no evidence that those subjects are true or real in any way, I can at least offer them as a different sort of perspective on the world, on different states of affairs, things that are going on. I can explain them through that broad perspective, because it is an abnormally broad perspective, even if it is false. So it's kind of like whether it's true or whether it's false, it's unique. And so rather than trying to pull high quality practical value from it, the best I can do is just demonstrate its uniqueness. Just be myself, be transparent about this condition that I have, and communicate to you as best as possible how that condition has allowed me to see things. And maybe that'll give you a different way to see things, right? So I can't really teach you how to see things in this way, because again, how do you teach somebody how to live life as if they have Down syndrome, or as if they actually have Down syndrome, not just act like they have it? So you can't teach somebody how to live that sort of life, but maybe I can open a door or open a window into what it's like, almost like being my own character in my own book, right? I'm just going to open the book for you, to use that analogy. Just open the book, let you get a peek inside. Even if you can't live through the eyes of the character, you can at least come inside and get to know that character. Maybe understand what it's like to see things the way they do, to experience things the way they do. That's really all I can offer, is understanding. Not anything practical, not anything strategic, just understanding. But it's not even going to be understanding of specific topics. It's not like I have expertise in science. It's not like I have expertise in medicine or certain fields of study like those, right? So it's not a specific form of understanding. It's a broader, more universal form of understanding. And again, it's there whether or not the things I talk about are true or false. Again, it's just like opening a book and seeing what it's like to be that character. The character doesn't have to be real, right? The character can be real or fictional, and nevertheless, you can understand what it's like to be them and potentially find new avenues, find new paths through that. That's the value of stories, right? That's the value of narratives, as a lot of Zen people would say, I'm assuming, right? Narratives allow you to look through those lenses. So I can just be that character, and I can give that sort of understanding whether or not the character is real, right? Whether or not my condition shows any amount of truth. So rather than a specific form of understanding or something that unveils truths lying within specific fields of study, all it can really show is maybe a way to help you understand how to understand. And what do I mean by that? What does it mean to understand how to understand? People understand a lot of things, a lot of specific subjects. But to understand how to understand, you really have to look at it from a broader, more universal perspective. What does it mean to understand? What does it mean for something to be true or to be real or to be understood? What is real? What is true? And really, that's something that I can deliver on this channel. Not necessarily showing you what it's true, but what it's like for something to be true, or what it would be like for something to be true. I mean, the name of this channel is Everything Explained, but the name ironically sounds arrogant, but it's actually saying something else. It's pointing to something else, something other than what it sounds like it's pointing to. See, when you hear a title like Everything Explained, you think, okay, the channel is gonna literally explain to you what everything is, how to do everything, how to do every task, right? Like how to perform a surgery, how to make vaccines, how to cook, how to ace a test, right? It's like, okay, it's gonna explain everything to you, like literally every single specific thing. But no, that's not what the title of this channel points at. Rather, Everything Explained means to explain to you what exactly everything means. What does it mean for something to include anything and everything? What does it mean for something to be anything and everything? What would it mean for everything to be real? Right? Again, we don't have to say that's true or false. We can simply ask the question, whether it's true or false, what would it be like if it were true that everything is real? Again, you're opening the book and looking at what it would be like. Whether or not it is true or false, you can look at what it would be like. So we're opening this book to look at everything, but not each and every specific thing, like how to ace a test, or what surgery is, or how to produce pharmaceuticals and vaccines. No, we're not looking at each specific thing. We're looking at everything in a broad, universal sense. What is everything? What does it include? What does it mean to include anything and everything? And therefore, what would it mean for reality to include anything and everything? If that were real, if that were true, what would it be like? See? That's what we're essentially able to look at through this condition of mind. Again, it's not something I can teach. It's just something I can show. It's something I can do. And maybe by communicating to you what it is that I do, what it is that I experience or embody, maybe you can gain something valuable from it. At least just like you can potentially gain value by studying a character in a book. But is that character themselves going to teach you anything? No. They're not going to hop out of the book and be a real person and teach you how to do this, how to do that. No, they are not a teacher. They're simply an emulation, right? You can emulate them. You can understand them. So I'm simply here to be an emulation. I'm simply here to be understood. Just to do what I do, be what I am. But I don't have anything to teach. I don't have anything to market. I don't have anything to sell. I'm not a self-helper. I've never done self-help in my life. The jobs I've gained, the accomplishments I've achieved, this condition that I have, none of it has come through any form of self-help. I am not experienced in that area, at least not in this life as Ethan. Given the condition, of course, I always speak in third person, but you get what I mean. Just in this life here as Ethan, I have not delved into self-help. I am not well-versed in that area, but there are many other people who are. And you can look to them for any expertise that I'm lacking in those areas. Because I'm to be something different than what they are. I am just here to simply be understood and maybe help you understand how to understand. And that's it. It sounds a bit vague, but I promise I'll more specifically define what exactly I mean here in the future. You know, I will start releasing videos more frequently, and I will go over a variety of topics, right? It's just, again, my take on all of those topics is going to be through the infinite experience. It's going to come through this condition that I inherently have. It's not a set of teachings or strategies for how to do those things or be those things or experience those things or embody those things. It's simply a way to understand those things and understand how to understand those things. That's it. That's all I have to explain. How to understand everything. What does it mean? That's everything explained. That's my niche. I can say for the first time in this life that I found it. I found my authentic niche. You know, I was always myself, right? But there's a difference between being yourself and finding your niche. You know, you can be yourself, but do something that doesn't really correspond to yourself or how you actually are, right? Up until now, that's what I've been doing. I've been being myself and discussing my condition and discussing my infinite experience, but I haven't been doing it in a way that corresponds to how exactly I am. Again, I've been trying to squeeze it down into this box of self-help and mysticism and spirituality when really it does not belong there in that box. So while I was being myself, I was being it in a way that was inauthentic. I was playing an inauthentic role, kind of like a person who is good at medicine being a physicist. Okay, yeah, they were always naturally talented or naturally inclined towards medicine such that they could be a doctor, but they were going to school, studying, and trying to be a physicist instead. So they were putting themselves in a role that was not best suited for them. That's kind of what I've been doing up until now. I've been trying to squeeze myself into a role that does not make the best use of what I am or how I am. Because this is not something I can teach. It's just something that's there. So rather than trying to make it into something that I can teach or market, I'm just simply going to expose it to the world and let it be what it is. If they're interested in the character that they find, then they'll find something there to study. They'll find some value. If not, then they won't. But, yeah. Something also I've been trying to do lately, I mean, you know, I still have been trying to dial into this anythingness and find practical ways to use it. So I'm not giving up on practicality. It's just I'm not going to depict myself as such unless and until I'm actually at that point. So, you know, for those of you who have come to me asking me for strategies or practices or methods on how to do various things, if you've found anything that I say to be valuable, you're still welcome to come to me and ask. Again, I'm offering it all for free. So if you find it valuable, by all means, you're always welcome to keep coming to me and keep asking about those things. It's just, again, I am not going to intentionally squeeze myself into that, not unless you do find value in it, right? Basically, I can keep doing it, but I'm going to be upfront and honest with you about the fact that, you know, I don't do these things in my daily life. I don't use self-help methods. I don't use mystical practices. These things are just a part of a privileged condition, and that's it. You know, so am I really the best person to teach that? That's where I'm going to be upfront and honest with you that no, I am not. That is not my suitable role, right? But maybe in the future it could be, if I find a way to dial in more through this anythingness that I'm experiencing and, you know, find actual practical insights. Yeah, I can do that. And this is still something that I'm striving to do. Right now, in more like areas of philosophy or politics or science. So broader, more collectivistic areas rather than more individualistic ones like self-help and things like that. But, maybe I'll get around to that eventually. Until then, this channel is simply about understanding. You get to look inside that book. Hopefully you enjoy it. Again, I'm going to try to get around to releasing videos more frequently here soon. I've been busy with a lot of said practical findings, trying to find them, I should say. Trying to make use of them. So yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you enjoy what's to come. Until next time, you all create a nice day.